What's happening, guys? I'm a disgrace. I set the stream for 1:30, but it wasn't my intention to start at 1:30. But then I was having internet problems. But we are here. We are live. We are back. Friday afternoon vibes. Big up to everyone that's locked in on this wonderful Friday afternoon. You know what it is, man. Listen, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. We've got a little bit to talk about. As always, man, you lot know what it is. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Let me know if you've got anything fun planned, anything entertaining planned, or if you're just chilling or whatever. Let me know what you lot are up to. As always, we've got a bit of Manchester United stuff to talk about. It's not a dull transfer window for Man United this summer because they've given us a lot to talk about, but really and truly, nothing really set in stone. That is my biggest problem. It's just a lot of talk, a lot of links, a lot of connections, but there's nothing set in stone. But Manchester United today have had a double bid rejected for Mazraoui and De Ligt, and it's left their agent bamboozled, bemused, as The Athletic have stated. David Ornstein with the Friday bomb regarding this. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Erik ten Hag's recent interview that he's done with Sky, talking about Jadon Sancho, talking about Malacia, etc., talking about Ineos and the backing that he's got for his sporting project. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Scott McTominay bid being rejected for a third time, but they're getting closer to maybe being in line with what Manchester United want. And we're going to talk about Wan-Bissaka getting closer to joining West Ham with personal terms already agreed. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. Like I said, Ahmed says, what's this obsession with Mazraoui and Ugarte? We can do so much better. I must be under maybe the few people that feel like a central midfielder should be a priority as much as a centre back is. Now, of course, I know fullback Manchester United are a bit short there. They've only got Luke Shaw, maybe Harry Amas if he makes it through into the first team. Wan-Bissaka expected to leave, Diogo Dalot as well, and then Tyrell Malacia, who Erik ten Hag actually spoke about as well. So I get that Manchester United might feel that they're feeling a bit light. They might also feel like a bit of flexibility is a positive in terms of having a player that can play across two positions. So I get that. But I'm very concerned, guys, about the lack of central midfield movement. And what I mean by that is the fact that Man United have been linked to a heap of midfielders. Like, honestly, at this point, I think they could start a starting 11. They could create a starting 11 of midfielders that they've been linked to. Particularly, of course, the names that we've heard the most is Manuel Ugarte, Martin Zubimendi, Yusuf Fofana, Adrian Rabiot. And now we've started hearing some newer names like Joey Verman, etc. There's no movement happening there. And I'm very, very concerned about that because Manchester United have had a midfield issue for a near enough a decade. Near enough a decade of midfield problems that has not been solved yet. Now, the centre-back situation, I think, would not have been so dire and it wouldn't have been as big of a problem had Manchester United kept Rafa Varane. Of course, he joined Como FC on a free, newly promoted to Serie A, and I can anticipate that he probably took a big pay cut. Now, on top of Amrabat as well. Yeah, Amrabat's another midfielder that United could go for as well. So there's so many midfielders Man United are linked to. And my only worry is that there's no information or any movement, I would say, regarding this. Manchester United's priority, I think, should be a central midfielder as much as it is a centre-back. But it looks like Man United have chosen to go down the path of getting this double deal done. Now, it's funny because they're putting in a double bid for two players, which I don't think it kind of shows which player is worth what. So if they've gone in and we don't know exactly the ins and outs of the details, we can kind of speculate what the fee is. I think the bid probably was around 50 million euros, and we're going to kind of get to that. But I think that it's more difficult for Bayern Munich to agree terms on that because it's not really justifying who is worth what exactly. If they're going in for a bid 50 million for two players, are you saying that De Ligt is worth 40 and Mazraoui is worth 10? Are you saying that De Ligt is worth 35 and Mazraoui is worth 15, which is not in line with what Bayern Munich want? Now, actually, let's get to that. But before we actually get to that, we're going to talk some Erik ten Hag stuff. We're going to talk about Erik ten Hag and his recent interview. Of course, he's entering a season with Manchester United after what I would say was a roller coaster of a season last year. He talked about the players that are not at pre-season yet, so the likes of Garnacho, Licha, etc. And he confirmed that Garnacho, Licha, etc. will all be reporting for pre-season today at Carrington, and then they will be reunited with the team later next week when they return back from America. He spoke about transfers. in particular. Now, he didn't talk about it too much in depth. Of course, as a manager, his knowledge is probably not as advanced as the likes of Omar Barada, etc., when it comes to the transfer stuff for Man United. But he said every club has limitations. The FFP rules for every club is there, and also so we have to manage this and go with those rules. We also have to manage it as good as possible to construct the best squad available. And then he went on to talk about one player that we've spoken about a lot during this transfer window, which is Scott McTominay. He spoke about Scott McTominay and he said we play Scott in a more advanced position, which suits him much better. He's so important in making goals for our team, and I'm very pleased to work with him and have him in the squad. Now, when talking about Manchester United as a squad, as a unit, he said, I have enough belief that I know when I have a team, I will achieve success. Now, I'm kind of reading in between the lines there. And the reason why I'm kind of reading in between the lines there is because he's kind of saying, I have enough belief that I know when I have a team, I will be able to succeed. Is he suggesting that he has not got the team right now to succeed? And what do you deem as success? Of course, it's silverware, but it's not just silverware. It's the silverware of the silverware. It's the stuff like Premier League, Champions League, etc. That is the crop of the crop kind of stuff. That is what I deem as success. And I think Erik ten Hag is kind of insinuating that he does not have the squad that he needs yet to be able to get to that level of success. He talked about signing his new deal he talked about signing a contract extension in comparison to signing a new deal with new terms. And he said, no, I wanted this. I think 2 years in football is already a long time, and in 2 years time we will see what we have built on top of what we already achieved now. So he's basically saying, I don't need more time. I can see what I've done in the 2 years, and I know what I can do in the next 2 years, which I hear it. He's kind of betting on himself. And then he went on to speak about the new structure in place at Manchester United. And he said, I feel positive. I feel very aligned. The directors are here. We are building those relationships. And as I said, we have to prove this point during the season and the next coming years, how strong we are. So he's feeling confident. He's feeling optimistic. Now, for me, it's interesting because he spoke about Jadon Sancho in his interview with Sky. Now, obviously, the first part that I just spoke about was his pre-game comments, his pre-game press conference that he did ahead of the game tomorrow against Liverpool. I think it's in San Diego. And then he did a separate interview with Sky Sports, and he spoke about Jadon Sancho and the conversation that he had with Jadon Sancho. And I'm glad he didn't give too much away. He basically said, we left the disagreement behind us and we said everything about this. So he's admitting that they had a conversation about everything. He said, we know from each other what our standards are and how we want to work, how we want to collaborate, and we need to have a good team. We spoke about the standards, the levels, the abilities. When I took over, you need good players to construct a good team, and Jadon Sancho is a very good player. So what it sounds like is that they had a mediator, they aired out their problems with each other, they resolved it, and they kept it moving. Simple as that. I'm glad he hasn't given much more information away on that. I'm glad he said, he kind of insinuated as well that they've left everything behind them, which is how it should be, Now, he went on to speak about this guy here, Tyrell Malacia. And he said, Tyrell Malacia is in a good place, but he's not here in America because I only took players who could play games or be available for team training. He's not that far, but he is now in a progress situation. At a relatively short notice, he can return into team training and then into team performance in games. He went on to give it a kind of like a timestamp and said, I think it would be possible for him to return in 2 months. So that's, I think, an estimation. Now, some people have suggested that he's had surgery on both knees. I thought it was just one knee that he's had surgery on. I don't know how many knees he's had surgery on. But we do know the extent and the kind of detail of that surgery and how it was initially a botched surgery and then it was a surgery. So it was 2 surgeries, actually. I really hope Tyrell Malacia is okay. I've seen reports that could suggest that he might be out for a lot longer of the season because, like we said, it takes a long time from recovering from your surgery to then returning back into the pitch. Before you get to the pitch, you have to do gym work, you have to do strength and conditioning. Then you get onto the pitch, you have to do individual workout for a bit. And then you can do some light practice. And then you can do a full-on practice session with the squad. And then you will be able to be available and be match ready. That itself, I think 2 months is very optimistic. We know that he's already back on the pitch and he's doing individual sessions right now. I think they said it was like rehabilitation. So individual rehabilitation. I get that. I understand that, but I think 2 months is very, very optimistic. But I don't know. I can't turn around and say that I know much more than Eric Ten Hag does. I'm not gonna lie. I can't say that. But listen, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the details of this transfer bid from Manchester United. David Ornstein with the bomb earlier this morning, suggesting that Manchester United has submitted a double bid for Matthias de Ligt and Nazir Mazraoui. Now, Nazir Mazraoui is currently on tour with Bayern Munich. I think they're somewhere in Far East Asia, if I'm not wrong, whereas Matthias de Ligt has not joined them for that. He's been told to stay home, and now today he actually reported to the training facilities just to kind of work out and whatnot. But both of them are waiting on Manchester. They're sitting there waiting very, very patiently. It kind of reminds me of the Amrabat situation last summer. He also did not train with the team, waiting for Manchester United to come to terms with Fiorentina. But David Ornstein said that Manchester United had submitted an opening double offer to sign Matthias de Ligt and Nazir Mazraoui from Bayern Munich. Now, there's no details about what the valuation is exactly, but it's reported that Manchester United's hierarchy want to bolster their ranks by landing both defenders and have stepped up their pursuit on Thursday with a joint bid. There is optimism at Manchester United and among the players' representatives that this would satisfy Bayern's expectations for the players that they deem a surplus to requirements. Bayern Munich, if you guys don't know, about I think 2 months ago, took aside a number of players and told them that they have no plans for them in the club and that they should basically plan for their departure. And two of those players, of course, was Matthias de Ligt and Nazir Mazraoui. However, this proposal from Manchester United was rejected, and they have told them that they would need a higher fee to reach the agreement. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me because, like I said, de Ligt and Mazraoui both share an agent. Rafaela Pimenta is both of their agent, and it's reportedly this double bid being rejected has caused some bemusement in both players' camps based on their understanding of what it would have required to get the deal over the line. Bayern Munich, like I said, informed the pair before the summer market opened that neither of them were part of the plans and that they would be on the transfer market. Manchester United's resistance doesn't confirm whether there will be new bids, but personal terms isn't obviously a problem. We already know that. We know that they've agreed personal terms with both players. Now, I'm not going to lie. 5 year plus one for Nazir Mazraoui kind of scares me a little bit. I'm not going to lie, but I understand that Manchester United are also in a position similar to what Chelsea were doing a couple of years of amortizing contracts and transfers across a number of years. I think 5 years is the maximum that you can do now because of Chelsea. I'm not going to lie, 5 years plus one, I hope they have not agreed a big salary with Nazir Mazraoui if it had to come to Man United selling him. Now, he's, if I'm not wrong, I want to say he's 27. He's 26. He's turning 27. So he's turning 27. Injury problems galore, if you want to say, if I can say that. He's had a heap of injury problems over the last number of years, especially at his time at Bayern Munich. Now, I get that he also has positive attributes that Man United could really use. By buying Nazir Mazraoui, Man United don't have to buy a left back and a right back because they've got both 2 in 1. That also eases the pathway into the first team for players like Harry Amas, who I don't think he's completely Premier League ready yet, but I do think he is a decent squad player to get that experience. Luke Shaw, we don't know what the future holds for him. And then Diogo Dalot, I think, is comfortably on that right-hand side for now. So buying Nazir Mazraoui is essentially Man United getting 2 players in 1. That is a positive. But then in the instance of a 5 year plus 1 contract, that scares me. And the reason, like I said, that scares me is because of his age. That is a big factor in it. And also his injury problems. Matthias de Ligt, on the flip side, also Man United have agreed a 5 year plus 1. 2030 would be the end date of their contracts. Unrealistically, if they, get their option triggered, that 1 year option that they have, if it gets triggered, Man United have now been forced to kind of speed up this process to get Matthias de Ligt. I think they were really being patient and trying to gauge what the market's like. And maybe they even felt like getting the upper hand against Bayern Munich in terms of really waiting for the transfer window to slowly come to an end and kind of force Bayern Munich's hand into selling the players. But now the ball is kind of in Bayern Munich's court. Let's be honest. The ball is kind of in their court because they can look at this and be like, well, your star centre-back that you just signed is out for 3 months. Lindelof could leave. Maguire himself, injury problems, but he's coming back slowly as well. And then Licha. You guys need Matthias de Ligt. You need him. So the ball is kind of in Bayern Munich's court where they probably feel like they can comfortably wait. Now, of course, they want to sign other players. They want to sign Jonathan Tah from Bayer Leverkusen, and they're waiting for De Ligt to leave as a result of that, which is understandable. But right now, I really do feel like the court is more in Bayern Munich's hands. The ball is in Bayern Munich's court. And really, the situation can be decided by then. OJ says, Bayern know they can squeeze us for more money now that Euro is out for 3 months. Exactly. Big up Leo Yo-Yo says, let's not forget that Bayern have lost Ito for 3 months as well. That is true as well. They literally brought someone in the summer who was going to be their, I think, De Ligt replacement. And he's out. I think he's actually out for more than 3 months, if I'm not wrong. So I do think that right now, Man United will definitely have to up the price. Now, one thing I will say is that because of this hoo-ha of Mazraoui and De Ligt, the thoughts of a midfielder has literally taken a back burner. It's really taken a back burner. And for me, it's worrying. It's worrying in the instance that Man United are struggling right now financially. Like, it's very evident United are struggling financially with the FFP, just with transfer fees, etc. It's not looking good for them. And as a result of that, they're speeding up the process to get De Ligt in and Nazir Mazraoui in. I have a strong feeling that if United end up with a midfield, I have a strong feeling of two stuff, yeah? One or the other. It's either United don't end up with a midfielder at all this summer, or they end up with Adrien Rabiot. That is genuinely what I think would happen, because Man United are financially in a effed up situation. Excuse my language. Ramadan says, we'll save you the hassle and give you Chalobah for 25 M's. I don't want Chalobah. I think I'm probably one of the few people that has said time and time again that I don't want Trevor Chalobah. Now, of course, if he was available for something like 10 million, okay, cool. I would be open. 10 million rotation player, you're on 60, 70k? Yeah, no problem. But the fact that that would probably not be the case, and we are also doing Chelsea a favor financially, no, absolutely not. But also, side note, is that how Chelsea treat their academy players? First, Mason Mount. Well, Chelsea fans actually butchered Mason Mount, but Mason Mount left, Tomori left, Loftus-Cheek left, Tammy Abraham left, Conor Gallagher, Trevor Chalobah. Like, honestly, is this what? Soon they're gonna get rid of Reece James. Soon they're gonna turn around and be like, you know what, Reece James out the door. Is this what you do to your Cobham legends, as they want to say? Big up to Show says, I don't want Chalobah either. Why are we taking rival scraps for? Honestly, talking about rival scraps, it's not really rival scraps, but it's just on the topic of centre backs. Reportedly, Newcastle are in talks with Crystal Palace about a deal for Mark Gahey. Now, they've just apparently approached Newcastle, so there's nothing really set in stone, but they have made contact with Palace over a potential deal for Mark Gahey. Now, we already know, I think, what the price tag will be. I think Crystal Palace reportedly put a price tag on him for about 60 to 65 million, especially after the Euros that he's had as well. Is that a bad price? Will Newcastle pay it? That would honestly, I could see Newcastle paying that. And I think he could have the next step up in Mark Gahey's career is that step up to a top 8, top 9, whatever the hell we call it now, but a top 8 team. That would be the next step up for him. Crystal Palace obviously get the opportunity to cash in on a expensive player, but obviously we'll have to replace him. Now, Man United, I remember there was talk about Manchester United being interested in Mark Gahey, or him being on the list for centre backs for Man United to sign, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen realistically. De Ligt is coming to United, guys. It's just, I think it's a matter of when, not if he joins. It's a matter of when he joins. But my biggest worry is that Bayern Munich and United can't negotiate this for whatever reason it could be, for whatever reason. And we end up with seeing a Maguire and Leacher backline, or a Lindelof and a Leacher backline, or Johnny Evans and Leacher, or Johnny Evans and Maguire, or Johnny Evans and Lindelof, or Lindelof and Maguire. Do you know how scary that is? You guys cannot tell me that that is not a scary thought of being how many years post Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Man United could possibly still end up with the same centre back pairing that Ole had in his time at United. And that is, by the way, no wrongdoings. It makes me, by the way, guys, do you guys regret the fee that was spent on Lenny Euro? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fee that, and I'm not saying, by the way, oh, he's a waste of 50 million. But now that he's been injured, in hindsight, I'm not saying that we could have predicted this injury, and I'm not putting any blame on him. But do you feel like Manchester United should have kind of paid a bit less, given the fact that they're penny pinching right now for the rest of the transfer window? Because it does feel like United are penny pinching for the rest of the transfer window. I don't think the price tag is bad, given the fact that if it's similar to what United have paid for Joshua Zirkzee, in the instance that they're paying it over a number of years and not all upfront at once, it's reasonable at that point. But right now, the penny pinching is scary. The penny pinching is scary right now in terms of how Manchester United are struggling financially. And this is also just proof of the mishaps of all the last number of transfer windows. I can't even go as far back to say. I can't remember the last transfer window that Manchester United spent professionally. I can't even think of that. Under Erik ten Hag, we've had transfer windows of big fees. This is the first summer transfer window where Manchester United have spent nearly 90-something million euros. But yet we still have gaps in the midfield. We still have gaps in the back line. I'm not going to lie. If with the team that United have, I wouldn't go as far to say that one or two incomings, a midfielder and a centre-back, changes the destination of Manchester United's targets next season. Because it's still worrying to me. It is still kind of worrying to me that the team that Manchester United have and the players that are available. And also, not even just talking about the players that they have available, but even the fact that Man United are always just one injury away in a certain position to just all hell breaking loose. It is quite scary. It was a strange price tag considering he had a year left, but the signing is a top signing. Real got Camavinga for 16 when he had a year left in comparison. Apparently, Ramadan is saying that Camavinga was 30 million. I thought he was more around 20-something million pounds, but I guess maybe around 30 million euros. But that's always been Real Madrid. Real Madrid don't overpay for players. They don't. The only player that they signed that I'm just like, who the hell is this guy? Is this Endrick guy? This Endrick guy, I'm just like, who is this guy? And is he even any good? Is he even any good whatsoever? But on the topic of midfielders, seeing as we're talking about the midfield, Fulham are expected to return with a new bid for Scott McTominay. Their most recent bid of £23 million has been rejected. Manchester United value him between 25 to 30 million. And Fabrizio Romano reported this morning that Manchester United are still open to selling Scott McTominay, but if proposals will go up to the 30 million package. It is crucial in Manchester United bringing in a new midfielder for Scott McTominay to leave. Fulham want to insist and push to make it happen. And like I said, they're going to make a new bid as well, expected to make a new bid after their 23 million bid got rejected. Now, Scott McTominay, for me, it's a no-brainer that United have to sell him. I understand Erik ten Hag speaking about him in the press conference today, saying about we play him in a more advanced position. It suits him better. He's important for making goals for the team. I'm very pleased to work with him, blah, blah, blah. I understand all of that sentiment of that. But Scott McTominay is not a forward man. He is a midfielder. When Erik ten Hag plays him in midfield as a box-crashing second striker. You are taking up space in midfield for actual midfielder to play. And that is the only issue I have about Scott McTominay. Now, if we were to bring him on in a game like Brentford at Old Trafford last season, when you're chasing a goal and you're just putting in set pieces, you know he's going to find the right place. He's going to find a good position. I understand that. I'm not against that. But when he starts a game and Scott McTominay plays as a box-crashing midfielder, there is so much space in the midfield that teams capitalize on that comes back to bite you in the arse. And we've seen it time and time again. As a midfielder, Scott McTominay is not good. Maybe he has assets in other ways, which is why I understand Man United are waiting for that 30 million valuation kind of thing, which I think Fulham will pay. I think Fulham will pay it not all as a kind of, I think it'll be like 26 plus 4 or 26 plus 3 in add-ons. I don't think they're going to play 30 million completely upfront. Let's be real. But Manchester United want a 30 million package, and the last bid was 23 million. So they aren't really that far off. That you're not really, you look like an underrated hijabi without glasses. She is the funniest person on the internet. I don't look nothing like her, but shout out to her. Chat, if you don't know, let me know in the chat if you know about underrated hijabi. She is hilarious. She makes me laugh so much. But back to Scott McTominay. Talking about the FFP side of stuff, or just the financial side of stuff, it's very unfortunate that United find themselves in a situation now where they have to sell players to bring players in. So right now, we can essentially say that Manuel Ugarte or Zubimendi or whoever it is coming into Manchester United fully depends on Scott McTominay leaving. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Now, every other club, can I say, has this problem. Every club has an issue where they can't bring in players unless they sell players. That's understandable. But my only worry for me is that how much Manchester United are relying on selling players in certain positions to bring in replacements in those positions. I cannot fathom the fact that a squad changing player, let's be real, a player that comes into midfield for Manchester United this summer, if it's Zubimendi, if it's Ugarte, will change Manchester United's midfield. So a team changing player, their future or their potential future at the club solely depends on whether Manchester United sell a squad player. That is bad. But also, can I just say, that is also the wrongdoings of the previous regime. Like, I can't really fault Ineos for this because they found themselves in this situation that they didn't put themselves in, which is totally understandable. That to me is completely understandable. Now, it was also reported yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was also reported yesterday that another team that are strongly interested in Scott McTominay is Tottenham. Apparently Tottenham is interested in him. Another team that are interested in him is Galatasaray, who are interested in buying him for about 10 or so million, but it's unrealistic that he will join Turkey, given the fact that he's got interest from other clubs such as West Ham, such as Fulham, and such as Tottenham. Now, that Tottenham interest, I'm not gonna lie, it came a little bit out of nowhere for me, given the fact that they're also linked to Solanke as well from Bournemouth. I didn't really think a midfielder is a signing that they would have wanted. I'm scared Scott will score a winner against our club if sold. He's going to score a winner and then cup his ears. Nah, I don't know if he would do that. The Mount signing set you guys back. He would have been free this summer. That is so true. That is, when you look at it like that, that is so true. Man United signing Mason Mount last season literally set United back financially this season. Now, how much was it exactly? I think it was about 60. I think it was about 60 million. 55 million. Flipping out, 55 million. That is ridiculous. The overall fee rises to 60 million with the add-ons, of course, but a base fee of 55 million. I cannot believe Chelsea fleeced us like that. I actually can't. I actually. Why did you have to remind me, Ramadan? Why did you have to remind me about this? I sometimes forget about it. I understand. Honestly, sometimes I just put it to the back of my mind. He would have been available on a free this summer, and United would have been 55 million more up in the transfer window. Hindsight is a bitch. Excuse my language, especially when it comes to United. When I look at things in hindsight, I'm just like, what the hell? But previous regimes, I can't put this on Ineos. I really can't put this on Ineos. If Man United, and also, can I just say, last summer, there was a heap of midfielders available. There was a heap of midfielders that would have been available for around the same price with probably more benefit to Manchester United that Man United could have utilized a lot more. And this is also further, like, this also just shows how bad Manchester United's been run. The fact that they spent 70 million on Casemiro and then spent 60 million again the following year on a midfielder. They basically wanted De Jong for, what was it, 100 million, and said, you know what, we're going to turn around and just pay 130 million for two midfielders in 2 windows who will probably not be here in the next 2 years for Manchester United. Maddison went for 40. Yeah, but Maddison wasn't going to be the answer to what United needed. Let's be real. United didn't need a Maddison-esque player. They got Bruno. Like, look, let's be dead honest with each other. What Manchester United need, for me, in midfield, Manchester United need I don't want to say a Kante, but that's what they need. That's what they need. They need an engine. This guy's not an engine. We need physicality. We need someone that can read the ball. We need someone that can dispossess the opponent. We need someone that can sit in front of the back line and comfortably cover a ground of space. That's what United need. Mason Mount, for me, is always a question mark over his transfer. I want it to work out. I want it to work out because he's done nothing wrong. In my opinion, I don't think he's done nothing wrong. But you got the injuries, you got the price tag, you got the number that he wears, the salary that he's on. You got all these factors that kind of play into everyone's judgment of Mason Mount. And you just think this is nothing is helping. The real number 9 should be Bruno or Garnacho. I think the real number 7, I think no one should wear number 7. I think the can I say is football is funny in it because it's different to basketball. In basketball, they retire jersey numbers if you're a legend of the club. I think football should adapt a similar system, not where they retire it, but you have to kind of prove that you're going to be a legend of the club before you get to wear the shirt. People shouldn't just get the numbers for no reason. Who is it that used to have number 7? Di Maria. I got a shirt that says my name on it. That's number 7. I remember when Di Maria had number 7. I remember there's so many people that have had the number 7 shirt. And I'm just like, how can you have the number 7 shirt? I think you should get the number 7 shirt only when you've been at the club and you've proven you're going to be an amazing asset for the team. And you're going to help the club reach top moments. I genuinely, other than that, you shouldn't just get the number. Like, how can you join Manchester United and they give you the number 7 shirt immediately? Again, it's just a number in it. And I feel like football has evolved past the point of numbers, right? Back in the day, growing up for me, football, like wearing certain numbers was associated with certain stuff. I used to grow up playing football and, there was certain numbers that people wore that only certain positions, like certain people would wear, if you're an 8, if you're a 10, a 9, a 7, those were and 11. It was those numbers. Recently now 6 has come into play as well, but 6 can kind of go between like a DM and a defender. But I genuinely feel like Manchester United need to start looking at signings and being like, you know what, you need to be here for a number of years before we give you a historic number. Like, you don't get to wear the same shirt as CR7, Best, Beckham, Cantona, and Brian Robson and be a bum 100%. And some people are going to say it's just a shirt number. I feel like because of Manchester United, like over the last 10 or so years, the shirt numbers have no meaning to it anymore. I got Mudryk wearing number 10 for my club. Numbers are pointless nowadays. Yeah, you got Cancelo wearing number 7 at City. Not that they got a historic, not that they've got a legacy of number 7s, but the numbers have like football's evolved past the point of giving people numbers, which I don't think should be the case. Like I'm very old school with it, and I'll continue to be old school with it. But I just think that Mason Mount and that number 7 should have never. Where do we see Mason Mount fitting in the team, guys? This season, it's his second season this year. Last season, never really hit the ground. He never really hit the ground running for me last season. But I came into the season last year just being hopeful. This year, I've moved past the point of hopeful, and I'm more like, you need to show us why we paid that price for you and why we gave you that shirt number. I need to see it this season. I don't want any excuses. If you are not a starting player, Mina's still trying to force Mount into the team. I don't know, man. Guys, I just believe in him. I don't know why. I don't know why it is. I just believe in him. But also, I'm just looking at the team now and I'm thinking, where will he even fit? If United are buying an Ugarte or they're buying a Zubimendi or whoever it is, and we know who's starting in 10. We know who the 10 is. And I know where Kobe's starting. Then Mason Mount essentially is becoming a squad player. So what I need to see, if you're a squad player, is every time you come on, you take that chance and you grab it by the scruff of the neck and you make the difference that we expect to see. Amad Diallo got the chance in the later parts, the latter stages of last season, and he grabbed it by the scruff of the neck. Pre-season now, he's grabbing it by the scruff of it. And every game, he's saying, I'm going to show why I need to start next season. I need to see Mason Mount do the same thing. Because for me, Mason Mount shouldn't be a squad player. You don't spend, and maybe this is, again, the shortcomings of the previous regime, but you don't spend 16 million or near enough 60 million on a squad player. You spend 15, you spend 10, you spend 20 on squad players. You do not spend 60 million. Mason Mount should not be, on paper, he should not be a squad player. That is my standpoint on it. Now, if he does not have a good season this year, and what do we deem as a good season? Because, again, we don't really know what his role is. But if he gets, say he's playing a rotational role, he's a squad player, and then he's starting here and there occasional games, and he's having good performances, okay, cool. But if he's not doing any of that, and he consistently has injury problems this season, United will have to sell him next summer. United will have to sell him next summer. It's as simple as that. I don't see him being Bruno's replacement. Personally, my wishful thinking is that Bruno's replacement is Musiala. That is me being very, very... That is so wishful. And I'm hoping, you know, with Joshua Zirkzee, etc., and with this new renowned structure that Manchester United have, they would be able to convince him to join Man United if it came to it. But I don't see him being Bruno's replacement, personally. Will they have Bruno play every game next season? Also, I hope not. He needs a break like the next man, and this is where Mount fits in. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Mount for me is a rotation. Like, I think his place in United's team is going to be rotation. Maybe in an instance where we see Man United changing it up or injuries, etc. But what I do need to see is Mason Mount just being fit this season. What do we always say? Your best ability is availability. I don't care whether you start or not. Just be fit. I don't want prolonged periods of injury where you're out for 3 months, then you come back for 2 weeks, then you're out again for 2 months. I don't want any of that. And Umar Barada actually said it. I mentioned this interview all the time. In an interview he did with the Financial Times in November before he joined United, he said that at Manchester City, they had a structure in place where when they buy a player, they got 2 years. And after those 2 years, if they feel like they're not improving the squad and they're not worth what they spent, transfer list. It doesn't matter if they spent 100 million on you. It doesn't matter if they spent 10 million on you. You're getting sold. And that's why we always see Man City with such high player turnover as well as player incomings. We always say you see are spending money like no man's business, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, they're doing illegal shit. But also, excuse my language, but also they have a policy in place under Umar Barada and under their structure at Man City at the time where they move players on. They move players on after 2 years. If you're not impressing, you can keep it moving. And Manchester United need to have that ruthlessness. They need to have that. We cannot allow players to come and sit for how many years on the bench or be a bench player for so long and the club don't benefit from them. There's a word for that, Mina. Standards. Do you guys feel like, are you optimistic in feeling like the new structure is gonna bring in standards? Do you feel like that? Do you feel like that? Because I feel hopeful. I feel hopeful with this new structure coming in place. This new hierarchy, if you want to call it. I'm feeling a bit hopeful. I'm saying hopeful, but I am feeling a little bit hopeful personally. Who does Manchester United have in place? They got the likes of Umar Barada. They got, obviously, let's start Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Jean-Claude Blanc. They got, I laugh every time when I remember that KG called Jean-Claude Blanc. He called him Jean-Claude Blanc because he spelled Jean as in jeans, but he thought it was pronounced as Jean and not because he's French and it's Jean. But anyway, Jean-Claude Blanc, all these guys that they've brought in now, for me, I'm feeling hopeful and optimistic that with this structure, Manchester United are in a better place than they would have been 2 years ago, a year ago. And you don't say Blanc like that. How do you say it? Blanc is Blanc. Jean-Claude Blanc. I ain't French, innit? I ain't French. That's all I have to say. But I am more optimistic now with this structure in place that Manchester United will start to implement standards. Honestly, I genuinely think that this is funny. I can't lie. As a rival, Ineos are doing the thing. Because I remember times where Rio was considered to be DOF. I would have been shook. honestly, I would have been shook off to the core that Rio Ferdinand as the director of football. Wallahi, you might as well hire me as an analyst as well. You might as well make me a recruitment analyst, make me the head of recruitment, make me the CFO, make me something in it. If honestly, I remember when Qatar was obviously bidding for United, and they were obviously talking about getting all these people involved, and Rio was on the list. Get Woodward's picture the hell out of here. No, but I have to put the picture up. I have to put the picture up because it takes us back to what United was once. It takes us back to what United was once upon a time under people like Ed Woodward. Manchester United were... Do you guys remember the summer? And I actually watched this in an interview recently. I can't remember where it was, and it kind of confirmed it. There was the summer that David Moyes came in, and there was talk about Man United getting Fabregas. I don't know if you guys remember it. There was talk about Man United getting Fabregas, and I think they went on an Australia tour. And Ed Woodward left the Australia tour early because of business. He had business meetings. It was all just to fly back to the UK to sign Fellaini. Now, David Moyes confirmed this on a podcast recently. I can't remember what podcast it was. I just saw the clip, and I watched the clip, and then I watched the full podcast. I need to maybe go in my YouTube history to find it. But reportedly, he said that Manchester United were gonna sign Fabregas, and this is when Fabregas was kind of phased out of Barcelona. And he said that they spoke to Fabregas, him and Sir Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson suggested Fabregas to David Moyes. They said, okay, they spoke to Fabregas, and Fabregas said to Manchester United, if I do not start the first game of the season, I will join Man United. And what happened? United's business model just could not do it. The Ed Woodwards, etc., they could not get it over the line. And David Moyes, he spoke about Bell as well. Yeah, he said he almost signed Gareth Bell as well. And he wanted to sign, this is the name that made me laugh, Leighton Baines. Leighton Baines was another name on the list. So they obviously went to Everton to speak about Leighton Baines, and they walked away with Fellaini. Reportedly at the time, Everton's director of football, CEO, wasn't happy about the way that everything ended with David Moyes and the fact that he was trying to come back and poach former players of his. But Cesc Fabregas was a legitimate interest, and it wasn't just interest. They spoke to him. Sir Alex Ferguson spoke to him and basically pitched the idea of him joining the club. And he said, if I'm not playing after the first game of the season, I will leave and I will join you guys, which was positive. But who was behind all of that? This guy here, Ed Woodward. And don't even get me started on Arnold and Murto and all the other nonsense that they were doing in the last 2 summers as well. It wasn't just talk. Fabregas and Bell were serious targets, but neither were interested in playing for Moyes. I guess Moyes didn't have the pool that Eric Ten Hag does. I guess, but honestly, yeah, I hear it. I understand why they wouldn't be interested in playing for David Moyes. Bring back Arnold and Murto to get the deals over the line. Wallahi, if that Arnold and Murto, God, I swear to God, guys, if Arnold and Murto were at Manchester United right now, we would have spent 70 million on Lenny Euro. We probably would have had the lip by now, but we would have probably brought him for like 70 million as well. We probably would have offered Maguire a new contract by now. Luke Shaw probably would have got a new contract as well. Marcus Rashford probably would have been on 400,000 instead of what he's on right now. They probably would have fucked around and given Jadon Sancho a new contract too. Like, I think they would have done a whole heap of nonsense. But one thing I do like that is kind of reassuring. I don't know if you guys seen, but obviously they're all traveling with Manchester United for the US tour right now. Umar Barada's there, so Dave Brailsford's there, Jason Wilcox is there, Dan Ashworth is there. They're all there right now with the team, which I think is good because, of course, their day-to-day job might not be, you know, the training sessions and the drills and all of that kind of stuff, but it's good to get to know the players and the coaching staff and travel with them, because you kind of build a sense of community. It's kind of, at the end of the day, they are equally as much as the Man United staff are part of the team as much as the squad is. So it's good that they get the opportunity to be there. And also, can I just say, I think it was a big part of the Jadon Sancho and Erik ten Hag reconciliation. I think a big part of it was probably this new structure in place with the likes of Dan Ashworth, Umar Barada, even I would say Sir Dave Brailsford. We don't know exactly who was part of this conversation that they had, but I know for a fact that they were all involved in probably mediating between it. And Jason Wilcox probably told Erik ten Hag that whatever system it is that Man United are going to play and the way that they're going to play, Jadon Sancho is probably a part of that. We've seen Jadon Sancho in the false nine before. He was asked about that as well in the press conference yesterday ahead of the game against Liverpool. So it's very clear, can I say, that Jadon Sancho is as much part of the plans for Manchester United as any other players. Because also that talk about Jadon Sancho has quietened down. The talk about him going to Juve or going to Dortmund or going to PSG is all kind of quietened down for now. But just on the topic of transfers, just before we wrap it up, last but not least is Wan-B here. Aaron Wan-Bissaka yesterday agreed personal terms with West Ham, and the agreement between the two teams is all that is pending. West Ham had made an offer for 10 million, where Manchester United are asking for 18 million. Now, similar to the situation with Bayern Munich, this time the ball is in the court of Man United because they know that West Ham were willing to pay 22 million for Mazraoui, 22 million euros. They know that they were willing to pay that. That's what they bidded. I think it was 15 million plus 4 in add-ons. 19 million pounds is what they bidded for Nazir Mazraoui. So Manchester United are now holding out for that 18 million pounds. West Ham are, by the way, rebuilding. They're being rejected here and there by players, but they're linked to Fulkrug right now, who could join them as well. I think Antonio might leave them. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka is obviously their newest target or their latest target, which will probably, I think it will happen. I think it's a matter of when. We might find ourselves in a situation where United get a few here we goes over the weekend for outgoings. And that might also trigger the incomings. I'm not too sure. I can only speculate because you don't remember last week I said that Man United were gonna have a here we go after the Arsenal game, was it? I lied. I said Man United were getting a here we go last week Sunday for who did I say? I think I said De Ligt. I think it was De Ligt that I said. Man United have spoiled us because we had 2 back-to-back here we goes in 2 weeks. And then we've had radio silence since. We have been spoiled, evidently. But we continue to be patient. Now, for the transfer window, what do you guys think? Before we wrap it up, what do you think United are going to end the transfer window with in terms of how many players do you think they are going to bring in between now and the next? When's the transfer window ends in a month or just under a month? How many players do you see Man United bringing in and how many players do you see leaving? I see Wan-Bissaka leaving. I see Scott McTominay leaving. Maybe I see Lindelof leaving, and that's a huge maybe. That's a huge maybe. Players coming in, I can see Mazraoui and De Ligt happening. I think it's a matter of when, not if. And I think only one more player after that. I think it's one more player. I think it'll be a midfielder. If Man United cannot sell anybody, if Man United can't sell anyone, I think they sign Rabiot. For free. But he's going to get a hefty bonus or something. Some sort of signing on bonus or something. I think they'll sign him for like a 3-year deal or maybe a 2-year deal. Other than that, I just can't see Man United really paying a loan fee, a 10, 15 million loan fee for Ugarte. Or I can't see them paying, I don't know, 70 million euros to sign Ugarte. I can't see them. Hey, this nonsense. I hate the Olympics. The Olympics has taken over my social media, guys. I'm sorry. I know this is off topic, but I'm sure everyone knows what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about the Olympics and there's a certain discourse that's been going on since yesterday, it's doing my head in. But anyways, back to the main topic. I really see Man United signing maybe 3 more players. So that's a total of 5 incomings. It's a total of 5 incomings overall for the window. Get McTominay and Eriksen out. Get Ugarte on loan and get Zubimendi. I think if they get Ugarte on loan, don't you think it will be with an obligation to buy in comparison to an option? Brian says, a lot of fans wanting too many players out the club in one window. It needs to be done over 2-3 windows. Facts. A rebuild takes some time. Adam says, not Rabiot. I don't know. A part of me does think that Adrian Rabiot will probably end up joining Man United. You know what, guys? Also, a loan to buy. Okay, fair enough. You know what? Also, I think, guys, I actually think we could get Here We Go today. Oh my God! Look at this, guys. Look at this. Fulham better fix up. Fulham better fix up if they want Scott McTominay. Fulham have paid 27 million guaranteed fee for Emil Smith-Rowe, with 7 million in add-ons that are considered realistic, plus a sell-on clause included. That's more than 10%. Man United better look at that and be like, you know what? We should ask for more. But right now, beggars can't be choosers. You think 7 signings in one window, in one summer, is possible? Yeah. How many signings did Man United have in Erik ten Hag's debut year? They brought in Eriksen, they brought in Licha, they brought in Casemiro, they brought in Anthony. Who else did they bring in? They brought in Malacia. They brought in like 5-6 players. Johnny Evans. 6 players is what United have been bringing in over the last couple summers. I think 7. I think 7 is too optimistic this summer for Man United because of the financial side. The financial side of stuff, I think, is hindering a lot for Man United. But I also think that, unfortunately, because a lot of Manchester United's summer transfer movements depend on outgoings, the more players Man United can get out the door, the better. And for reasonable values. I'm not talking about 500k for flipping Donny van der Beek, but I'm speaking about, 5 million for Christian Eriksen, 10 million for Lindelof, 30 million for Scott McTominay, 20 million for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. That's reasonable transfers. I think with that, Facundo Pellistri, I don't know how much he's going to go for. Panathinaikos, I think, is interested in him. I don't think people like Sancho are going this window. When I did a video, I don't know if you'll remember, but I did a video back I think it was like during the season, must have been like February times, keep or sell. I put players like Sancho and that on the sell list. I don't think Sancho is getting sold, guys. I don't think Jadon Sancho is going anywhere this summer. I think he's staying at Manchester United. And what Man United are probably hoping to do, which is probably why the reconciliation has kind of occurred between him and Erik ten Hag, is I think Man United are hoping that he gets reintegrated into the team, performs relatively well, has some good, decent moments in games, and then sell him next summer. I think that's what Manchester United might look to do. Whether or not that is gonna happen, different kind of conversation. But I do think that's the path that they might try to go down. Keep Sancho and get rid of Anthony first. You know what? Yeah, I was thinking about this Anthony thing, right? I was thinking about this whole Anthony discourse, and I was thinking, Anthony, because whenever I speak about Anthony with my friends outside of the content world, when we talk about Manchester United, etc., and I always talk about how I don't rate Anthony because I say he's got no standards. I say he's got no standards in terms of the type of player that he is and the fact that he should leave Man United. But I was thinking about it the other day and I saw a tweet that kind of put it in a good perspective for me. You leave Ajax to be reunited with your manager that you worked under. In that time, he breaks the bank for you, pays 100 million to sign you. That inflates your ego a little bit. You think, rah, I'm worth 100 million. Wow. Then he gives you a 200,000% increase of what you're on. He was on 25k. He went from 25k to 200k. Why would he ever agree to leave Manchester United? And on top of that, you get to play for the biggest club in the world, or one of the biggest clubs in the world. Arguably, I would say the biggest club. Why would Anthony, I'm thinking of in his mindset, why would he ever decide to leave? He's going to hold Man United hostage until his contract expires because he's just created generational wealth for his family. Compare the quality of Ahmad's shots to Anthony's shots. They're both right wingers and left-footed wingers. Not only that, Amad Diallo, if you watch him a lot, guys, he's both-footed, He's actually both-footed. He can shoot. I saw him score a screamer with his right foot at Sunderland, but he's both-footed. I think his left foot is his dominant foot. But there is big quality difference. There is big quality difference in their shooting. in not even their shooting, they're dribbling, cutting in onto their left foot. Ahmad knows when to keep dribbling and play a pass, or I always say this, Ahmad knows how to use the player and the defenders as a shield from the goalkeeper where the goalkeeper can't see the ball. He knows how to do that well. Anthony will cut in and first time hit with his left foot. Ahmad will cut in and maybe dribble once or twice and shoot, or dribble once or twice and pass. But Anthony will always just cut in and shoot first time. We could sit here and analyze a heap of tape when it comes to comparing both players, just going forward. And I saw a funny stat. I saw a stat. You lot know me, like I say, I love data. You know, I'm a data girl at heart. I saw data that said that Anthony was the best defensive right winger. What the hell is a defensive right winger? Anthony had the best defensive stats for any right winger, I think, in the league. In the time that he played in his first season at Man United. And I thought to myself, is that how low the standards are? The way that we judge a goalkeeper on how he passes, we're now judging a right winger on how he defends? That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. This comes back to my point of not being ruthless enough. If you want to get rid of Anthony, let it be known to him he's not wanted. Don't include him on the tour. That's true. And it's kind of what I criticize Chelsea for doing with like players like Chalobah, etc. But you're right. There is no sentiment. There should be no... Football is business. Football is it's a sport. It's a business. There should be no room for sentiment. At the end of the day, there should be room for, you know, understanding the mental side of stuff. And you can't bully a player into leaving. But you can be very clear, I think, in being ruthless. And that's what differentiates Manchester United historically. And I'm not judging, I don't want to judge this current regime. So I'm going to say historically, players were allowed to run down their contract because they were getting the best of both worlds. They're getting their money, they get to stay in the environment that they've been in the last couple of years, and then they can plan for their future after that and they can save. But historically, Manchester City have pushed players out. They've pushed players out comfortably. Bro, Barcelona. I was reading an article, guys. I was reading an article on The Athletic. You lot know me. I love a good interview on The Athletic. And I need to pull it up right now on the screen. Because there was an interview that The Athletic done recently with a guy that ran for... he ran for president of Barcelona and he lost. Let me find his name exactly. Because he spoke about Messi. He spoke about the situation with Messi. And he basically suggested that, here it is. Okay, Victor Font. He ran for president, against Laporta. And Laporta won. Now, he spoke about the situation with Messi. And he basically said that Barcelona could have afforded to keep Messi. But Laporta turned around, basically, and he was told so this is what he said in the interview. He said, it was possible to keep Messi. Look at the millions that we spent on Lewandowski, Ferran Torres, Rafinha, Koundé, etc. Laporta agreed with Tebas, who was, I think, the head of La Liga, for Barca to enter into a deal. But Florentino at Real Madrid said, if you support Tebas and this deal with La Liga, you're out of the Super League. So it was either Florentino or Messi, and Laporta chose Messi. So the fact that Barcelona could be ruthless, and I don't agree with what Barcelona did, by the way, but the fact that they could be ruthless with probably one of their most historic players, probably one of the greatest footballers of this era, they could do that to him for the sake of money. Manchester United are not ruthless enough. They are not ruthless enough. Look what PSG basically started to bully Mbappe for the last couple months of last season because they knew he weren't staying. I feel like the fan base forget what we were under Fergie. We weren't a nice club. We were ruthless. Look at Bex and Rude left. Did they get the nice goodbyes? Now United fans are too sentimental. It's true. Roy Keane. Look at the way Roy Keane left. Even I would go as far to say, look how Ronaldo left. Ronaldo wanted to leave, I think it was in 2008 when United won the Champions League. Then I think United asked him to stay for one more year. Man United lost in the Champions League final that year. He kept it moving. United fans didn't cry about it. I don't get it. It's true. I totally actually, it's crazy. Me and Sho actually agree on something for once. Who are we talking about, Minna? We're talking about Anthony, and we're just talking about how Manchester United are not ruthless enough. when it comes to cutting players out of the team. We look at what Chelsea's doing now with Trevor Chalobah. You know, they've told Conor Gallagher, they offered Conor Gallagher a new contract, but they also told him that he's going to be a squad player in Enzo Maresca's team. And he said, nah, I don't want that. And now he's being told, okay, well, you can leave then. You can leave. There's the door. Get out. But yet, Man United cannot be ruthless with a heap of players at Manchester United right now. And also, can I just say, it's not going to get fixed in 1 year. Like, honestly, guys, in one season, all these problems are not going to get fixed. But we just have to be patient enough to hope that it does get fixed. This rebuild, I would say, for Man United I think it will take the best part of, maybe I would, two summers, I would say. This rebuild for Manchester United will probably take about 2 summers to rectify before Man United really even get close to clearing out all the dead weight. But listen, guys, you know what it is, man. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. What are we on? Let's try get to, I know it's kind of pushing it, but let's try get to 100 likes. If you are watching this back, let's try get to 100 likes or more if you are watching this back on repeat. And if you are watching it live right now and you actually haven't hit the like button, what are you doing, guys? Just go and hit the like button. Go and hit the like button. I'll be live again later this evening. I got a self-care day today. If you don't want to know what I'm doing, I have a self-care day planned with one of my siblings. I'm gonna go get a nice skin facial on my face because when it's summertime and the heat, my skin does not do that good. So I'm gonna go get a nice skin facial at my local beautician, and just have a little bonding day with one of my siblings because I haven't seen her in a minute. That's what I'm doing. Let me know what you lot are doing for the afternoon. Of course, if there is news between now and tomorrow, I will be live. I might be even live later tonight for maybe evening vibes. Might have a calling show over the weekend. I need to actually finalize that. Elden Ring as well, episode 3. I'm dreading it already. Honestly, I'm already dreading it. But we're going to do that as well. But as always, we're here with the daily content. Manchester United, you know what it is. I got a video dropping as well later this weekend on Manchester United women, just a little roundup of how their transfer window is going. So be sure to check that as well. Follow me on all platforms, guys. Literally, all my social handles are the same, at @MinaFootball. I don't post all the time on YouTube on the community tab, but I post on Instagram, I post on Twitter, I post on TikTok every single flipping day. So be sure to follow me on all platforms and turn on your post notifications on YouTube so you get notified when I go live. I'm not that far off from 5.3k, I think. Yeah, I'm not too far off from 5.3k. So we'll get there in due time. It's the road to 6k. You guys know what it is. Listen, like I said, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. I will be back later on tonight, inshallah, God willing. I hope you have a wonderful evening, guys. I'm out. Peace.